I shouldn't have said anything. But let's get into the news. So, yesterday was day 60 of protests in the city of Elizabeth City over the police assassination of Andrew Brown Jr. And again, we've been protesting for 60 days. Some would say that's 2 months, though some of the months had 31 days. But, that's not important right now. But either way, we've been at it for 60 days consecutively. I have been documenting every single day from 1 all the way to 60. So if you're ever interested in what happened on day 12, you can go back and watch my content. If you're interested in what happened on day 39, go back and watch my content. I've been there for all of it. And yesterday we did 2 distinct protests. We did the regularly scheduled one, and then we did a spontaneous one in the evening, and I will be covering both of those protests in this video in chronological order. So, yesterday was Juneteenth, and the city of Elizabeth City had made Juneteenth a citywide holiday back in May, and then surprisingly, the federal government also did so this week, or I guess technically last week, because today's Sunday now. And so, yesterday was a nice celebration. I also want to say that the mayor gave some remarks at the Juneteenth thing, and I recorded it. I will upload that as a separate video without commentary. I will upload, well, maybe there's a little commentary. But I will upload that as a second video after the stream is over. So if you want to go watch her remarks, you can feel free to do so. I don't think anyone else was recording it, so I was like, I'll record it and I'll post it. So I'll post that later. But either way, so we gathered outside of the courthouse. And we marched from the courthouse down to Water Street, passed through the farmers market, and entered the waterfront park. Overall, the march was about, maybe 25 minutes or so. It was relatively short, and then we went to the waterfront park for the Juneteenth celebration. Now, again, I'm not a meat eater, I will say. And I will also say that some of the people that were manning the cookout, they were very nice, and they got me veggie options. I love this sign, by the way. Like, I just... Okay, look at this sign. Look at this sign. It's so good. It's so good. Got justice? I love it. Someone brought, like, a bunch of, like, really funny, like... well, not, like, they're not all funny, but just, like, good little, kind of little, like, I guess memes, you could say, and put them on signs. And so, yeah, so... I would say the first march, the Juneteenth celebration, was really good. We had a lot of very, very hyped up people. A lot of people had fun at the cookout, and there was some music and all that kind of stuff. And overall, I would say it was pretty good. And some of us wanted to do an extra protest in the evening, and so that's what we organized for later on. Not necessarily to say that this early protest was insufficient or whatever, but we just wanted to do more because, there's a lot of racists in Elizabeth City, and there was a lot of racist events going on in Elizabeth City, and we wanted to cause a little bit of a ruckus. And so that's what we did. And so I've got another Twitter thread right here of us later in the evening. We went out at around, I think we got downtown at around 8 p.m., and so we went down the sidewalks because we, didn't have that many people. There were only about 7 of us. And so we went down the sidewalks chanting. And there were a lot of, there was like this big event. You'll see it outside of Big Boss Burritos. Look at this one cop, by the way. Look at this. I'm just going to mute that because they're playing music. But look at this cop, thin blue line mask. So I go in there, I zoom in. S. Wright, serving since 2006, or is that 16 or 18? Either way, S. Wright, we'll figure out their name later, with a thin blue line mask on. Very interesting. Now, that is the one officer that was at the event happening outside of Big Boss Burritos, which is a Trump-supporting business that had basically an entire crowd of white people. Very interesting. So, we then went through Palin's Alley, which is where a lot of people get drunk. And people were not very happy with this. I want to zoom into this section. This, I just watch the reaction of this person over here.
Fucking racist too. Andrew Brown.
So I don't know if you can hear it, but she's like, I got my kids. Okay, if you got your kids, right? And you're so offended at the idea that you're being called a fucking racist for not supporting protests, because someone was murdered, someone got shot and executed in your city, I got news for you. You're a bad parent. Like, I'm just throwing that out there. If you care more about the F word than fighting, police brutality so that your kid doesn't grow up to die in a fucking, situation, an altercation with police, I've got news for you. You're a garbage parent. So she starts, doing this bullshit. And I thought that was really funny. And we just walked right past. We just, didn't even acknowledge. I recorded a reaction. It was pretty good. So this is the first notable incident that occurred. We're going back through Big Boss Burritos. And, again, this is, as you can see, there's, the one black person in the entire crowd. And they give us a nice solidarity fist. Right? I'm going to mute this because I don't know the music's copyright status. And so as we're walking through, I see this guy in the blue shirt. This guy in the blue shirt, I'm pointing at my screen, look at me. This guy in the blue shirt, watch this. So, this guy pulls out the white power symbol, right? Now, I got it with my camera, right? And, hey, I don't know if the guy knew I was filming, but I made it very obvious I was filming because I already got it on the camera. So, when you put it back down, now as you can see here, if you're very careful and you look, right? His wife puts his hand down. Check this out. His wife puts the hand down, boom, right? What are you doing, right? And then, wait a second, I already saw you. Look at this guy's face when he sees me. Look at his face. He's scanning did anyone see? Did anyone see? And then he sees me zooming in on his face, and he's like, oh my God. I just love it. Look at their faces. They're like, oh no. So I want to be very clear. We know who these people are. He deleted his Facebook account. I don't know if he deleted his all I know is that he had a Facebook account and it no longer exists because I had never heard of these people before. But other people have told me that they had a Facebook account. Now, it's possible he deleted it at some other point. It's possible they got home and deleted it immediately. I don't know. But we know who both of those people are. The man who flashed the white power symbol works for EMS, Emergency Medical Services, I think is what that acronym stands for. Right here in Elizabeth City. So imagine, this is what I think about. This is a white supremacist that works for EMS in a city that is majority black. What? Well, not for long. I prefer going to say not for long. And the woman, guess what, is a teacher at a middle school. A middle school teacher, an EMS worker, white supremacists. Right? Now, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say you're married to a neo-Nazi. After Trump's both elections, you're still married to this person. Chances are you know they're a neo-Nazi, and chances are you're probably a neo-Nazi too. Now, I don't want to necessarily say guilt by association, but I'm going to assume that this woman saw that I was filming, and that's why she wanted to have his hand put down. But guess what, motherfucker? I already gotcha, right? Because you can see she doesn't really care, right? She doesn't really give a shit, right? And then, as soon as she sees that I'm filming, she looks over immediately and says, put your hand down. Oops, busted. Right, and so we already identified this guy, so, skip that shit. And this is another very interesting interaction. This one was just bizarre to 69 views. Nice. This one was bizarre to me. So we went through Palin's Alley a second time and listen to this one. Now you can see this motherfucker's wife is embarrassed. She doesn't want to be there. She's like, oh my God. She's thinking about her life choices, what led up to this moment. So let's watch. I just want to start over. So again, we're going through, right, Palin's Alley saying Black Lives Matter. And that is so offensive to this motherfucker. Just watch. You're drinking a drug. You are drinking a drug right now, buddy. So, this motherfucker... Now, I just want to say cognitive dissonance, right? This motherfucker is literally ingesting a drug as he is celebrating the execution of someone who uses drugs. Right? What? What? Okay, you are literally altering your consciousness via the ingestion of a drug while celebrating someone who was executed because they had drugs. What? Can someone explain that to me? Can I get a what? But that's the absolute state of racists. They don't care that he was a drug dealer. That's irrelevant to them. All they care about was the fact that Andrew Brown was black. That's why. If a white drug dealer was executed in the same fashion, would these people be doing this? Nope. Nope. Because it's not about him being a drug dealer. It's about him being black. That is the problem. Again, we were going through the alley saying Black Lives Matter, and this guy said a drug deal, blah, 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 right? While he's ingesting drugs at that very moment. It doesn't make any goddamn sense, and he's probably driving home, right? But again, I just want to say, I love how she's, like, blocking her face, right? Like, again, if we identify this person, we identify this person by proxy, but I did get a little bit of her face right here, so we could theoretically identify them if we want to. But again, I just, like, what goes through someone's brain to celebrate the execution of someone who uses drugs while they're using drugs? It's just bizarre to me. It's strange to me, the cognitive dissonance that is allowed in racist white America. And this is one of the reasons why we went downtown tonight, is because there are a lot of racists in Elizabeth City, and it's good to know who you live with, right? Now we know that someone who works in EMS is a white supremacist. Someone who works as a middle school teacher is a white supremacist. Now we know that. We have that information now. We don't know who this person is yet, but we're going to find out. This is a small town. We're going to find out who they are, right? And we're going to know who they are. We're going to know where they work, and we're going to know who to avoid, and we're going to know who to make a stink against. And that's what you need to do when you are in these situations where at least 70% of this city are racist motherfuckers. Like, at very minimal, right? And again, okay, let me walk that back a little bit. Either they're racist motherfuckers or they're complicit in racism and they don't care about racism. Let me add that on there, which is de facto siding with racists because the racists are the ones that have power in this institution. Right, so again, what we're going to probably start doing is we're probably going to start doing some more nighttime protests. We're probably going to try to, and again, we went about this in a way that was like, we're not going to engage, right? I made a little bit of a joke on this guy, but we're not going to try to get in fights, right? I just made fun of him. I asked him a simple question, like, why are you, celebrating the death of someone who uses drugs while you're using drugs right now, right? And he looked dumbfounded, like, look at his face.
Drinking a drug. You are drinking a drug right now, buddy.
Right, he just looks like, right? So, but we're trying to just, capture the Elizabeth City reaction to the protests. Because that's something that hasn't been documented too much on my channel, because, we haven't had that many direct interactions with them, outside of, when they try to drive cars into the crowd. But again, it's important to know where you live. It's important to know who you're living with. And it's extremely valuable to know that at least half of Elizabeth City are racist motherfuckers. And probably a significant majority are people that just don't give a shit. They just don't care. Who gives a fuck? I don't care if someone was shot dead right next door to me by police. I don't care. As long as I can go get my smoothie tomorrow, it's all good. And that's the kind of mentality that is destroying America from the inside, right? It's disgusting, it's reprehensible, and it's evil, right? And it's important to know what we're dealing with. So that's what we did on day 60 of protests in Elizabeth City. And day 61, we'll see how it goes, folks. We'll see how it goes. And I'll be sure to keep y'all posted. But I would consider day 60 to be a pretty good success. I don't always drink beer, but when I do, I prefer to embarrass my wife. That's such a good comment. Thank you, Bob.